Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining Tina Meets and Lynne Roe. This is going to be my new podcast channel called F That I Meant Financials, the other F word no one wants to talk about. And we talk about all things financially related, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent, just to relax, calm down, and let's enjoy talking financials. So Lynne Roe is joining me. Thank you, Lynne, for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Lynne works with small business owners who are scaling quickly. Man, that's a good feeling. When you're scaling quickly, woo, that's a good feeling. I know that's a good passion to have. And you guide them in developing strategic actions and plans and sound decisions and making their lead a dynamic business growth, right? And you also are an author of Leadership in Action, an inspirational for intention leadership. Nice. How's that going for you? How's the book going? Is it really good learning curve and training mechanism you use?
It's really great. People who look at it, it's designed to be the kind of book that you read a page a week. So it's not designed to be, got to read the whole thing. It takes about 30 seconds or so to read that page. And then you take the action steps that are on that page and incorporate that into your life from there. And over time, it helps you become a better leader.
Like a habit, basically getting them into a habit of transition to it. I use the terminology with my team. I say, well, we're going from a transactional because I want to turn you into a transformative role, right? But we want our team to own their position and own their roles. And that is just so vital. And people actually feel more appreciative, whether they're employees or leaders under bigger leaders, in owning their role and being trusted to do that. So give me some of so how long have you been doing this and what made you take this as the core structure of your business?
So I've been a leadership and business coach for 12 years. And I do this because I have a personal mission in life, which is to develop people into outstanding leaders. But my business experience before that was I worked for many corporations, and then I grew two different businesses on my own. So I have this experience growing businesses, and I combined it with being a leader. And what that does now is I love the ripple effect that has. So when a business owner becomes a great leader of their business and their business succeeds, then they're hiring people, and those people now can send their kids to college or whatever it is that they can give more money out into the community if they choose. But it has this ripple effect of everybody that I work with does well, they grow their businesses, and that means that something else in their sphere also grows and does better. So I just love the fact that it's not just this one little piece. It's a positive force in the world that I'm creating.
That is awesome. You and I are actually on a lot of the similar path, just kind of a little bit different. So I do the same thing, right? My whole thing is I have this pay it forward mentality, right? Because it's all about cash flow generation. That's what I focus on. That's the end result. But I work on the business systems, and the processes are primary. The processes need to match the business systems. Once we set that up correctly, then you get the right team in place. They follow those processes. And it's a beautiful marriage between the three, and nothing should happen. And then I monitor them throughout their entire year, work with their CPA, making sure everything's good. Let's watch the tax strategies. So I'm more of a hands-on to kind of do it for them. So the business owner or entrepreneur can focus, and the team can focus on their day-to-day. Because a lot of changes and upgrades of a lot of systems and processes, that pulls the team away from an already busy schedule. And work-life balance has to be considered more than ever. And when cash flow is affected, it affects the owner, the employees, and that goes home to their families, then the community. So, and that's exactly how I say it's a ripple effect. I use that same terminology. And I said, we got to pay it forward. Making one small change makes a big difference in the world. So just imagine between what you and I do and saving companies, right? Whether it's the mindset
Yes,
level or the physical process level, you do the mind and I'm doing the physical. It makes a world of difference to save one company because the ripple effect of that is a pay it forward mechanism. Three people.
exactly.
Wow, it's so
Exactly.
nice to meet
When
you.
yeah, it's nice to meet you too. And when I work with business owners, you and I definitely connect, cross over what we do. But when I work with them, I always start with, okay, what's the lifestyle you want to be living? And then let's design your business so you can actually live that lifestyle. And sometimes that doesn't mean, okay, you can't maybe do that this year, but by putting in the team and developing the processes, as you said, to make it so the business can run without you doing everything, then you can have that lifestyle that you want. So it's a matter of changing the thinking. So entrepreneurs, they get to where they are usually by hustling, by working hard, and they're really good at what they do. But they get to a point where they can't grow anymore. They just can't because there's only so much of them to go around. And that's when I come in and I help them develop a strategic plan for how they're going to be able to grow their business. And that includes uh, building their team and developing processes and obviously getting their cash flow under control. Because
Mhm.
leaders, business owners, they have to lead their business in three different ways. They have to lead the business itself. They have to set the direction. They have to come up with the strategies. They have to develop whatever systems need to be done. They have to make sure those systems get done, not necessarily by themselves. They don't necessarily create the systems, but they have to get created. And then they have to lead their team with smooth communication and clear roles and responsibilities for the team. But they also have to lead themselves. They have to lead themselves to become a CEO and not just the entrepreneur who does everything. And that's a tricky change in because you're thinking very differently than you were as the entrepreneur. I can do it. But that's when it's just the entrepreneur hustling and working so hard, they miss their family events.
Yeah.
They don't take vacations. They're not living their lives. And our businesses should support our lives. Our lives should not be here to support the businesses.
You are so right. Do you run in the situation where businesses are like, I know I need more staff, or I know I need to update the processes and use more of the business system, what they call ERP systems. I know I need to use more of the system, but we just don't have the time. Because they're still
All the
doing
time.
manual processes and some of it, they're not maximizing the full modules of all the business system. So they don't know where to go. And they're like, I'd have to hire 5 to 8 people to make this happen. Do you
Yeah.
run into a lot of them that just don't know where to turn, even though they know they need to make those physical changes?
I run into these people a lot. And what often happens is they think I have to do this, I have to do all 25 of these things right now. And when I develop a strategy with them, we talk about, okay, which one of these things are we going to do first? And how are we going to manage the business while we're accomplishing that piece? And then it all gets put down on a plan. So they know, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this, and it's all going to happen over time, and we're going to get to where we want to be. And it becomes very relaxed. Okay, I know I can do this. I know how to do it. I know when to do it. I know what other things have to happen around the same time to make that work. And then, if another opportunity comes up or something changes in the world that you have to make some changes, it's still much calmer because, okay, it can slot right in here, or I know that if I don't do this, I can do that, right? Rather than somebody described it as a bowl of spaghetti, all these ideas in your head, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do that. I can't do it all. I'm not going to do any of it.
Right, you just
But
give up
instead,
altogether.
yeah, but instead, if you've got a plan, it's like, okay, I know this is going to happen. I know this is going to happen. I know this is going to happen.
Yes,
So,
exactly. And I always say, I always, my main thing is small changes make big differences. And I said, I'm not going to give you the whole cake, because if you get the whole cake, you're going to eat it and you're going to get sick and you're not going to want to touch the cake. You're going to push it away. I give you one piece of cake, and then we take a few bites on each thing we have to tackle. And that's all we're focusing on, that one piece of cake, that one bite. That's it. We're not looking at the rest of the cake. You didn't get the whole cake. You're getting this one piece, one bite at a time. And as you go, then you'll see the benefits. And by the time you're done, metaphorically, you've eaten the whole cake, and now your company's running like a well-oiled machine. You're like, wow, that was not as hard as I made it out to be. I have a client right now that said the same thing. He's like, unbelievable how you automated all of this stuff. I am so thankful for you. And we're looking at double, could be quadrupling his revenue. But my thing is too, Lynn, even though I do a lot of the work, because there's so much involved in business systems and processes, that's almost impossible. Because the bigger the company too, the harder it can be.
Yes.
The main thing is making sure their team is trained. So not only do I help come in and help get them set up, or if they're getting ready, they're growing, right? They're growing and scaling. So if they're in the point where they need to hire staff, I want to make sure their business systems are in place. And that way, when they bring on the right team member, that team member is trained. I actually work with them for a couple months to get them trained. So that way they don't have to worry about that, and then they need to learn the businesses and systems processes, and the team is trained right from the start on how to keep that cash flow going. And that's the reason why I, contract for a year after that, because we want to make sure you stay healthy and not fall into that pitfall, kind of like dieting. Everyone talks about, you get on this really good diet, you lose all the weight, and then all of a sudden you fall back into bad habits and you're gaining weight. That's what I don't want. I want to kind of continuously be there, and then of course let you pay less to Uncle Sam, because all the strategies that I do throughout the year to make sure that you're with the right CPA is the most important thing. A lot of companies choose the wrong CPA for their industry, and that hurts them.
Yeah. And I think often when I work with very small entrepreneurs, that's just them, or maybe they've just got one other person, they think, well, I have to create all the systems myself. And I think actually that's a big mistake, because when you create a system yourself, you've been doing it for so long, you know how to do it, and you forget steps.
Yeah.
So I always recommend that if they're just starting out, just starting to make systems, create systems for the business, explain to somebody else on your team how you do it. Ask the other person to write up the steps to create the actual system for how it gets done. And then you review it, and you'll find, oh, this got left out, or, oh, I just automatically hit that button, or whatever it is. And that's how you can double check to make sure that it's a good description
Right.
of how to do something, of what the system should be.
Right, exactly. And it all depends on if you're accrual or cash based too. That makes a big difference. I know a lot of times the people that are actually doing the data entry and the ones that are monitoring the IT system don't communicate. They're talking to the supervisor. Well, a lot of times the supervisors don't know what the people are doing on the front, what I call the front lines. They're just back in the tent doing their job that they're required to do. And the people that are on the front lines are holding the gun and doing what they have to do. And then, then you have the lieutenant up here has no idea what's going on and saying, no, you got to make this change. And then the problem is not that that's not a good thing. It's just the communication is just different, because just like you and me, we cross in what we do, but we do things a different way. So I think that's a lot of what happens in the missing part as your business grows too. You lose that connection of what's actually being done versus what's being managed and flowing through the system, through the transactions and processes, and going, oh, wait, we never updated that report filter. Oh no, or we didn't sync that module correctly, or there's an error. Who's checking the error files? Those are all the kind of things that they look at. And that's so important, because before you turn around, you're like, these numbers don't make any sense. I don't even know where to look. So yeah,
that's a good point too. A lot of people think, okay, we set the system up and it's good forever, but things change. And so you have to make sure you go back and review, is the system still the right system for us to get to where we want to be?
That's correct. That's
Yeah.
the number one thing. And then many times they don't even read the updated code enhancements or upgrades, or everybody has different terminology, right? They
Right.
call them enhancements, upgrades, or releases.
Yeah.
Release of this, your phone, when you upgrade your phone, that's something that's being installed on your phone to get it to
Correct.
where it needs to be. Well, who's monitoring those releases? Because now you got these magical processes you're not even utilizing that could take step A, B, C, and D out, and you can just do one process. And they're like, we just don't have time. And sometimes they're doing processes 5 and 6 years old and not utilizing that system. And once they see the beauty of being able to utilize more of the system and automate and streamline it, the work-life balance is also the
Yes.
wow, I can't believe I've been doing that all that time. I've been working on Saturdays trying to get this done. And now they don't have to work on Saturdays anymore,
Yeah.
and the boss doesn't have to pay overtime anymore. So in the end, by the time I'm finished, I pay for myself 3 times over.
Yeah.
Because I save you so much money, and the employees, because now they're not calling out as much. They're not out sick as much because stress will make them sick. And the premiums on the health insurance start going down. So, it's a ripple effect.
It's a ripple effect. It really is. If you make one change, and it can change a lot of things. Very often I tell entrepreneurs to just start thinking, instead of saying, how am I going to get this done? How do I do this? Or when does it fit in my calendar? Start saying, who can do this for me? Who can do this for me? And just ask that question. Or the other question is, who should be doing this? And if you're the
That's the
CEO,
truth.
it probably should not be you, right?
No, you cannot do it all. And I know a lot of times they just don't know who to ask, because a lot of times I know in my field, I do meet some people that have the business systems, the processes, and the financial. That's my advantage, is because I know the whole process back and forth, and I'm able to do what needs to be done and action. And in less than 30 days, I can make an impact in less than 30 days. And then we kind of go through the strategies. Like I have 3 strategies like you do. I have 3 and you have your plan. So it's the same concept, but more of the physical systems processes. Just amazing. It's and entrepreneurs beat themselves up all the time because they can't do it all themselves, and
Oh,
they
they
should
do.
not feel like that.
I was talking to somebody recently who he was in a construction industry, and he decided that in this new business of his, he was going to create his own website. And I said, well, do you know anything about making a website? He said, no, but he paid for a course, to take a course to learn how to do it. And then he spent about 2 months creating his website. And the website was fine when he was done. It wasn't fantastic, but it was fine. And then he was talking with a website designer and told him what had happened. And the website designer said, I could have done all of that for about $1,200, all of what you did. And the guy then added up all of his time and at his rate, and it was well over $1,200 between what he paid for the course and all the time he took to learn the course, and then to create the website, which was only okay. And the website designer could do the whole thing for less, and it would be in better shape. It would be a much better website. So, and that's what entrepreneurs do all the time. They're afraid to spend any money on something that actually would save them money. Because if he had spent those 30, 40 hours actually going out and looking for business,
Yeah.
prospecting, he would have been much better off.
You are 100% correct. Exactly right. Because you're the rock star in your niche, right? But you've got to hire the experts that can accelerate you quicker, growth and scale, right? You got to
Yes.
grow and scale, and you got to spend the money on the experts that can make it happen quicker. Because the faster you get your website up, the faster you get your marketing, your branding label, your content creation done, and figure out who your avatar is, and know that your avatar, then build your systems based around that model. And then boom, 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 you hire these contractual people, these experts, and then you decide to get employees. Because a lot of people think they need to hire employees right away. And I'm like, why would you do that? You want to hire these contracted consultant services that are experts in their niche to make you better, because it takes a justice league to get you to where you are. So fight stronger from the beginning instead of doing it all on your own and then having to wave the white flag when you're done and you're like, I'm exhausted. I can't do this anymore. And then, some will give up. But that's how I put it too. The same kind of way is like, let them come in.
Point that you're making. It's such a good point that you're making. When people don't, they really fight, hiring someone, but they think, oh, I have to hire a team, but they don't actually have to hire a full-time team, right? They can hire experts, as you said, in the field, but here's what they don't think about. That means they're the client. So that expert is going to go out of their way to do a really great job, maybe even more out of the way than somebody you hired, didn't pay as much, but they didn't do as good a job, or you had to spend all your time teaching them how to do it. So it's actually a time saver very often to hire someone to help you do a project like that.
Yeah, very much so. And a lot of times, like for me, I'm building this what I call SOPs, the standard operating procedures of your business based on your business model, business plan, and idea through my interviewing process to kind of see where you are. And then your team is being trained on top of it when you're ready to hire somebody. So that is all relieved from you just by hiring a service like myself, or even for you and putting the strategic plans. Hire the experts, don't hire the employees, not when you're first starting out, because you're right. You got to take the time to train them and get them used to your business model, explain things now, and just assuming you don't have the processes up. Now you have somebody
probably
going to
not
have
the
to.
expert to begin with.
Right,
You're
right.
not the expert on that to begin with. So
You are so true. You are so true. Because people say, well, what do you outsource? We're going to get into this. So Lynne, I'm going to ask you, I had this question asked. This is a good one. So what would you outsourcing as you being an entrepreneur?
So I definitely outsource all my tech, because I'm not a technology person. I know enough to manage it if I have to, but I have a tech VA who handles all the technology stuff that I need.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I'm business systems too. I'm IT, but you can't, even if you know how to do it. Would you agree, Lynne? Even if you do know how to do it, you can't, you can't. You got to work on your business, not in your business.
I
Get
do
out
know
of
how
that
to do
mindset.
it. It just takes me way too long, and it's not even as good as when she does it. And she does it so much faster than I do. So I can do it, but it makes no sense for me to do it myself.
I am right there with you. I am right. Yeah, the social media and all the new stuff that you have to learn, the algorithms. That's okay. I'm leaving that to the experts, because that'll make my business better when you leave it to the experts. So, Lynne, how would my audience be able to get in touch with you?
I'd love to offer a free gift. It's called 5 Keys to Success. And if you would like to get it, you can go to lynn'sfreegift.com. It's Lynn's, LYNNES, freegift.com. So LYNNES, freegift.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
5 Keys to Success.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for joining, and I appreciate the conversation. It's definitely of great value, and I hope you'll stop in again and check up on us in a year, and let's see where we go. I'll remember you. Definitely.
Yes. Thank you
so
so much for
much.
having me. Thanks so much for
We're
having
even
me.
finishing each other's sentences. Thank you so much, Lynne. Just great for you to get out there, and I look forward to following up with you and seeing how much you grow with your success as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.